Well, guys, we have an amazing video for you guys today because we're cooking ribs in all different ways, guys. We have competition ribs, we have restaurant catering ribs, and we have backyard barbecue ribs. And I don't know if you guys want to learn all these things, but Randy's spelling all the beans here with us. He's telling us everything about how to do these competition ribs, everything exactly the way it should be, so you guys can be a winner in your next competition. Are you excited for this one? Yeah. Let's get into that, man.
Hi. Whenever I'm going to do competition ribs, I always lay out my rub first. All the spices for my rub so I don't mix too much, but also to make sure I have everything I need, because that's one of the most important components to competition ribs. $16 spices in one rub.
Yeah.
Just for competition.
Yeah.
All right, as we've seen, there's a lot going on with competition rub, okay? Now we're gonna move on to restaurant and catering rub. That is it for my version of a restaurant catering rub. And I also use this for backyard barbecue, but like I said, you have options with backyard barbecue. You can go with prepackaged stuff like Neil Sirup's damn barbecue rub and seasoning, which I love saying. Say it again. No, I won't. I'm just kidding. But Ninja says this is the stuff. We're going to use this today on our backyard barbecue ribs. So as we know, you can't make ribs without ribs. Now normally, I go to the slaughterhouse or the butcher shop and I get my ribs cut for me for competition or when I do an event. But Ninja and I spent the entire day yesterday running around looking for a butcher shop open that we could get ribs. We couldn't find them until we found these babies in a grocery store on a shelf of all places. So we got 3 beautiful slabs of ribs here, and we're gonna take one of these slabs and cut them down and trim them into a beautiful competition slab. We're gonna take the next slab and we're gonna trim them down to a beautiful restaurant slab. And then the last one we're gonna keep fat and happy for the backyard barbecue. They're gonna be so good, Ninja's tongue's gonna wanna beat his brains out.
Let's do it, baby.
All right, so I opened up the 3 ribs. I went through each slab and I picked out the one that I think has the best bone structure that I can work with and the best striations of fat, which is what I'm looking at here. Low fat contents that I can work with. And the bone structure, based on what I've got here, after I trim it, I'll have a nice clean slab of ribs. So the first thing you wanna do with your ribs, dry them off. Wet is dangerous. So I've already dried them off. And then you take this membrane here, anything like this left over, and you just trim that down. Trim it down nice, trim it down real nice. You're gonna have a lot of trimming here. And what I do before I take the membrane off is I go to the longest rib, which I find it. Now there's rib here and there's cartilage and what feels like another rib bone. So I'll get an idea of where I'm gonna cut here and I'll come right down straight, okay? So let's give that a shot. So I'm gonna cut through here. Now don't worry if you make a mistake, you got 3 more slabs to work with. And there's cartilage, so I'm cutting through cartilage right now, and I'm gonna cut this pretty wide here, but that's okay, I can trim it up. I'm gonna come down. Okay. I'm gonna come off here nice and straight. And this is about 60% competition ready. So look, this is called a shiner. This bone sticking out, that's not good. That's gonna have to go. So I'm gonna come over here, not quite in center because I wanna leave some meat on this bone here. I'm just gonna cut it off. And so I'm just gonna trim this up a little bit more, get some of this extra fat and skin off of there. So I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna feel for the last full length rib, which is right about here. I'm just gonna cut that off. And the rest of the time you're gonna be here, you're just gonna be trimming away some fat, cleaning it up, cleaning it all up for competition. When I pull this membrane off, see this membrane here, I'll use a spoon or a butter knife because I don't want to damage anything. But remember I said this bone right here I can live with, right? The reason I can live with that is because once I pull the membrane off, the bone, usually the bone where you start pulling the membrane, that's just pretty much a useless bone. Paper towel, easiest way to get the membrane off. Now, sometimes it comes off in one piece and sometimes it doesn't, and I'd say 9 times out of 10 it doesn't. But you want this membrane off because the judge doesn't want to bite into this. He doesn't want all this chewy yuckiness. He wants to, and you want to get flavor on the back of these bones too. You want to get that rub everywhere. Look at this membrane. Oh, come on, keep coming off. I'm okay with this. I mean, I think off camera I'll do a little bit more trimming, but nothing that you probably wouldn't do yourselves. So now that we got the competition ribs all trimmed up, we're going to get into the restaurant style ribs. And that's going to be a little different, but somewhat the same. The competition ribs, I took this piece off, okay? Restaurant ribs, I probably don't have to. I don't have to take that off, but I will clean up the membrane. You know what? I'm not going to take the membrane off. I'm just going to score the membrane. And I will trim this off, okay? Just because it will burn and it will be unsavory, and I don't want to give my customers that stuff. So I'm coming down here and I'm just trimming this off nice and pretty. You got this part of the breastplate here, which you don't want. You can keep it, but again, like I did on this competition ribs, I cut it off so I could get, use it for the beans. So I'm finding the longest bone. I'm gonna make a score here, cut through that cartilage. On these, I'll just come straight out. I don't care if there's a little bit of rib tips on there because it's just gonna taste just the same. Remember on the competition ribs, I took this membrane off. When you're doing 400 or 500 slabs of ribs, you don't have time and manpower. I mean, a restaurant or a catering event, it's gonna cost you a lot of money and man hours just to take all these membranes off. So what I do, this is my method, but I take a knife and I just score. And I score. And I score. And what I found is as the ribs cook, this membrane gets smaller and it just becomes a tiny little piece, maybe a quarter of this left. So it doesn't take it off, but it definitely reduces it. Oh, okay, see this end here? This is something maybe you want to show you. Last full-size rib is here. I'm gonna come here and cut this. There is your restaurant style ribs. That's it. And these are the backyard barbecue ribs. You ready for some magic, Ninja?
Let's do it.
Done. I'm kidding. I do want to go through these and clean them up a little bit. Like this is really thin right here, but we'll save this piece for that crazy ant that showed up at the party and you didn't really want her there anyways. But this is pretty much backyard barbecue right here. I don't trim them too much. I cut off pieces that might burn. You know, it just doesn't taste good. Clean up this really, really thin end. That's it. I mean, just very little trimming. Even this I'll leave on. Won't matter. The membrane, again, like with the restaurant style ribs, I won't take the membrane off, but I will score it. That's fine. We'll work with that. And backyard barbecue ribs are done, ready to go. So now that all the ribs are trimmed and ready to go, it's time to start seasoning. So the first thing we're gonna do is competition ribs. We're gonna season those, and I have to make a confession. Ninja told me I had to tell you the truth. I added one more spice to this. It's a red annatto spice, and what it does is it just makes the ribs a little bit redder. I'm gonna season in the same direction as the ribs. The reason this is important is because the first thing the judge's tongue hits, believe it or not, is the back of that rib. So I want to get that covered nicely. Nice cover. Now, just gonna pat, not gonna rub, just gonna pat. Move it in there, get it in there, okay? It's already getting wet right here. You can see the rub starts to get shiny in places, okay? So I'm gonna keep on going. I'm gonna do the side now. And again, I try to season as high as I can comfortably, because that tends to help get the rub spread out evenly. Just a little technique I learned from a guy named Jim Johnson. You may know him. If you don't, look him up. I'm turning it over. I'm gonna, again, just kind of hit my hand and come up. Hit my hand. Now you're gonna say, man, that's a lot of rub, Randy. You're wasting a ton of rub. But usually in a competition, I'll make 5, 6 slabs just to get 6 good ribs out of it. Competition is a very labor-intensive experience. A lot of attention to detail, a lot of attention to the flavor profiles. There we go. My competition ribs are rubbed. I'll let them sit for a few minutes. You're gonna see in about 2 minutes, it's gonna get real shiny and sticky. And that's just the rub, bringing the juices inside of the meat up to the surface, and then it's gonna pull that back down in when it cooks. And you're gonna get all that rub going, the seasoning going, and the salt and everything going right back into the meat. It's gonna be phenomenal. Same principle, you know. On these, I really don't need to rub the back, but I will. Just a touch, because I want to get some flavor there. I don't want, you know. Tip it up. I'm gonna turn this over. And all the sides are rubbed. Now I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna get the top, and I always try to go in the direction the rib is going itself, the bone, because it just seems to look prettier. That's about it right there, okay? Pick it up, get a little extra sauce, a little rub off there, and set it down. That's it. Now we're on to the backyard ribs, and I'm trying to find that damn rub. Here it is, I found it. Well, you want flavor on every bite, even though it's just backyard barbecue. It's family, man. You want to treat them right. And I would say that's beautiful. I would say that looks good. Well, I hope Ninja's happy. And that's it for the damn rub. Now on to cooking. All right, today we're smoking on Z-Grill's pellet smoker. We're going to be using a combination of hickory, maple, and apple pellets. And I've never used a pellet smoker before, but I've got a couple of water pans here to go with it. And from what Ninja tells me, this thing is a breeze to use, and it looks pretty efficient. So let's get started. We're gonna run today around 225, 250, keep it low till I get a feel for the pellet smoker, and then I might ramp it up a little bit. But I wanna be really, really cautious with these competition ribs. That's the number one thing. Attention, attention, attention. Let's get started. I'm going to start with the competition rib. I'll put that in the middle, I think. These are the restaurant style. We're going to put these in a bit of a hotter spot if I can. And I'll watch all these very carefully right now. And now, look, if you look here, I want to show you this. The way you set these ribs is the way they're going to come out when they're done cooking. So if you put them in crooked, they're going to be crooked when they come out. But if they're nice and straight, and they're spaced evenly, the bones are spaced evenly, it's going to come out nice and even. That's it. So for the next 3 hours, kind of peek on them, spritz them a little bit from time to time, and after 3 hours, if I like where the color is, I'll wrap for 2 hours, and then go for another 2 hours, and then after that, I'll sauce them, and I'll just go through the whole process with you. So stay with us. We're going to keep doing this. We'll be right back. All right, it's been 3 hours of spritzing every hour with apple cider vinegar and a little bit of apple juice in here. The competition ribs have been in there for 3 hours, full smoke. We're going to take them off. We're going to lay down a bed of brown sugar, some honey, and some squeezed butter. And we're going to wrap those ribs up real nice and tight in here so they braise in that juice and they get nice and soft and tender. And we're going to keep it tight so there's no air. And we're going to put them back in the smoker. And we are not going to wrap the restaurant style or the backyard. And the reason we're not wrapping the restaurant style is just because it's an additional cost. The restaurants aren't going to do it anyways. So we're going to keep them as a dry rub. All right, so the ribs are back in the smoker for the next 2 hours. In the meantime, we're going to make the barbecue sauce for the competition ribs. And I think I'm going to cheat and use this same barbecue sauce for the restaurant style ribs. I'm going to give you the recipe in the link below because I like you guys. Other than that, it's a top secret. 1 cup of ketchup. And that's gonna go in there. Half a cup of apple cider vinegar. 1/4 cup of molasses. The next ingredient is 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. I'm putting 1½ cups of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder. I'm gonna start with low heat. Let this come up to temperature slowly. Let the spices kind of break down, not be so granular, and then it'll thicken as it cooks, and it'll turn into a beautiful caramelly, smoky, sweet barbecue sauce. All right, so now we've got the barbecue sauce finished. Beautiful caramel red color, looks wonderful. We're gonna work on the rib glaze. And we're gonna start that off with a half a cup of apple juice. Okay, 1/4 cup of corn syrup. Okay, I'm gonna keep the temperature low so it doesn't overcook at first. Let the spices dissipate slowly. As I stir, it'll thicken. I'm gonna take just a touch of xanthan gum. Just a touch. Maybe 1/4 teaspoon. I'm gonna thicken up that sauce. It'll take a little bit of work to break it down to get it to unclump, but it will unclump, and when it does, you'll have a beautiful, thick, glossy rib glaze. All right, so the competition ribs have been there for quite a while. I'm gonna just check them real quick for, there's a nice little bend in here. So I'm gonna bring them over to the table. So let's check these ribs out, see where we are. Oh, look at that. That's pretty. Try to make a boat out of this, keep it from rolling out, all that juice. Oh boy, look, we got some nice pullback here. You see that pullback? That's beautiful. Yeah, these ribs are done. These ribs are ready to be glazed. Look at the beautiful color. Isn't that beautiful? I'm actually not glazing them, I'm putting the barbecue sauce. I'm gonna sauce them. I'm gonna put them back in the smoker. Now, if there's any streaks in this sauce, don't worry about it because they'll settle nicely. This sauce is a good consistency. Give them a little while to set up with the heat, and we should be good. All right, now the ribs are done. We're gonna just take this homemade rib glaze. Just gently get it on there. This glaze will thin out when the heat of the ribs hits it. I'm gonna get the bones and everything. You don't wanna mess around too much because you'll just make a mess. Get the glaze on there, let it heat up, and it'll settle itself out.
Well, guys, we have all the ribs in here, and I tell you this, man, my head is off to you. I didn't know competition ribs was that complicated. I'm glad I learned a lot. I don't know if I will ever do it, guys, because it's complicated and there is a lot of little details that have to be taken into consideration, but we have it here. If you want to do it, all you have to do is follow this video and you're going to be a champion. These amazing ribs. Tell me a little bit about it, man.
Okay, we'll start down here.
Yeah.
This is number 1.
Number 1.
Or number A.
There is no number 1 in this house, man.
Okay.
You know.
These are your typical.
We have number A here, we have number B, and we have number C. Number A, they are the...
These are backyard barbecue style. My version of it. Real saucy, cooked to fall off the bone.
Yeah.
You're gonna pick them up and they're gonna flop and be real soft and tender and juicy. And then in the middle here, I would say these are my restaurant style. Mm-hmm. And then this end here, These are the competition style.
So let me ask you, why the restaurant style doesn't have any sauce?
Well, some customers don't like it. I'm sure that's one reason why. Probably the main reason. Not everybody likes sauce.
So when you selling this kind of ribs, you give the
Sauce on the
apart.
side.
Yeah. I think it's time for us to give it a good try, man.
Let's do it.
Let's bite into it.
Let's do it.
I know you want to do it, man.
I can't wait.
Man, let's go for it. Let's go. All right, let me get this one here.
Yeah.
You let that
I'll
one.
get this one. It's so juicy.
Oh man, they are dripping all over the place. All right, ready?
Let's do it.
Let's go for this. All right. Wow, that sauce is amazing, bro. Really good ribs, tender, juicy, really good stuff.
I'm gonna set that there. I'm gonna critique that if you don't mind.
Go for it.
I would have cooked them longer.
Okay, again, Randy here, he's a judge, competition judge. What would you say if somebody presents something like that to you?
Well, in competition, I wouldn't see those. I would see more like this. But these here, for backyard, personally, I would like to have cooked them a little longer.
All right, guys, we're not going to clean because we have to keep going. So we have the restaurant ribs here. Let's go for it. Let's see, Randy.
Take this one here. Restaurant ribs are pretty simple. Oh, that's a good one.
Brother.
Yeah.
This is the one that took the shortest time. I say about 3.5, 4 hours total.
4.
Really easy to do.
Okay.
Really nice flavor. And again, I love that sauce, but maybe I want to put another kind of sauce on it, and this is gonna go very good with any other sauce. It's amazing.
Or no sauce.
Or no sauce, yeah.
This is gonna be something.
This is my first time trying competition ribs, guys.
I'm gonna watch you. That's a good bite. Let me see. That's a good bite.
Oh my gosh, such a amount of flavor.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good bite.
This is a complex. I feel cinnamon in here. I feel so many flavors mixed up together. This is amazing, brother.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same slab of ribs we got off the grocery store shelf.
Dry off the bone.
But yeah, you got the dry bone there. It's a nice clean bite. But you're experiencing the competition seasonings and the sauce.
This is incredible.
Yeah, it's a big difference, isn't it?
Let me ask you, Randy.
Yeah.
This is competition. It tastes amazing. It's sweet, sour. It's spicy. It's juicy. It's sweet. It has all those complements. But would this be something that you will ever make to sell or for a weekend? Do it at home. You have a party.
Hey, do it at home. Yeah, do it at home. But to sell this, it would cost you a fortune. You could 16 spices, probably 9 ingredients in the sauce alone.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money.
So the idea behind this is when it go to the judges, they will only get one bite, and that bite has to tell them everything about the
picanha. You're still talking about the picanha. That's
about
my job.
the ribs. Everything. It will have to tell them everything about the ribs, and they will consider you if you're gonna win or not based on that only bite. That's why that bite is so important.
Right. I mean, the first thing the judge touches is right here with their tongue. That bite. That bite's got to start talking to them immediately. You want this to be complex. You want the judges who are very well trained and have incredible palates. You want them to think. If you can make a judge think, he's gonna remember your ribs.
It is a completely different profile on flavors, on the complexity of the flavor itself. The sauce is another complement to it, and then you have that glaze that looks so beautiful. Guys, I don't know, man. I have to give it to it, man. I don't know, bro. This sucks, bro, because I don't want to give it to the competition.
These
because
beans are delicious.
Man, those beans are good, but that's competition. Ribs are delicious, brother. Oh my goodness, man. Wow, that's another.
I'm glad you like them. I'm happy you like them.
No, I don't like. I'm just excited to turn the camera off and
keep
go off
eating.
on them, man. I'm gonna go off on them.
We're gonna fight for them because I want a few more.
Guys.
These I like. I like the restaurants though.
I like it a lot.
I like
too.
a dry rub.
I like it a lot too.
Yeah. In the backyard.
Very good. Very good.
Juicy, tender.
So guys, if we made you hungry, please hit us with a like. Subscribe to the channel, share with your friends and family. Don't forget to share these videos on your social networks because that helps us a lot. And let me know down there in the comments, what do you think about all this sauce and everything? We're gonna leave all the recipes in the description of the video. You should check it out. That's all for today, but remember that I love you.
Bye.